My boyfriend's sister knew exactly what I was doing as I did it, so I turned her own knowledge against her and ruined her. I was about to share the most intimate moment with my boyfriend, Noah, when a sudden knock at the door shattered everything. It wasn't just his sister interrupting, it was the chilling secret she revealed that night that sent a shiver down my spine and changed my life forever. Noah and I were finally alone, the air thick with anticipation, the vanilla candle I'd just lit casting a warm glow. We were on the cusp of truly connecting for the very first time when bam! A loud, insistent knock echoed through the apartment. I peeked from across the hall and my heart sank. It was Danielle, Noah's sister. She sauntered in, barely giving us a chance to react. "Oh, sorry if I interrupted anything," she chirped, but her eyes, darting from the dimmed lights to the flickering candle, told a different story. "It's just so cozy here, perfect for Monopoly. Unless you and Apple were in the middle of something, Bunny?" My blood ran ice cold. Bunny. That was my pet name for Noah, a silly, sweet secret we shared only when we were completely alone. Not once, not ever, had I said it in front of anyone else. Before Noah or I could even form a single coherent thought, Danielle had shoved past us, already setting up the board game in the living room. I tried to be nice, I really did. Noah always said Danielle was going through a rough time, and I wanted to be understanding. But my mind was racing, a frantic hamster wheel of how could she possibly know that? Then, halfway through a forced, agonizing game of Monopoly, Noah had stepped away to the bathroom. Danielle casually dropped another bombshell. "You know, I just love Love is Blind," she mused, completely unprompted. My heart didn't just go cold, it froze solid. That show was my ultimate guilty pleasure, a secret I guarded fiercely, only streaming it on my laptop with headphones when Noah was at work. Especially that episode where the mom finds out about the affair. Do you know it? My stomach twisted into knots. I had literally, just that morning, watched that exact episode. How on earth did she know? I streamed it privately. The next day brought another disturbing revelation. I got my period. No one knew. Not a soul. I hadn't even called out of work yet. But then, Danielle's text popped up on my phone, "Had the strangest dream about you bleeding last night. Hope you're okay." My hands, clutching the phone, literally went numb. The timing was beyond perfect, it was terrifying. That evening, I tried to bring it up with Noah, keeping my voice light, pretending to be merely curious. But his whole body language shifted in a way I'd never seen. His jaw tightened, shoulders stiffened. "She's always had a hard time making friends," he explained, his voice cracking slightly at the end. "I'm all she has, and you're my first serious girlfriend, so this is really hard on her." It felt like a punch to the gut. So, I tried. I really, freaking tried. I invited Danielle to our movie nights, our Sunday brunches, everything. But then, an insidious pattern began that I couldn't possibly ignore. Every single romantic dinner Noah and I planned, and I mean every single one, Danielle would suddenly be struck down by devastating stomach cramps exactly 30 minutes before our reservation. Noah would have to rush over with medicine and heating pads, leaving us, once again, canceling our plans. The worst part was Noah's stubborn refusal to see it. "She used to be my plus one for everything," he'd say, as if that explained her uncanny knowledge of our lives. Meanwhile, her behavior was escalating in ways that made my skin crawl. I posted a simple anniversary selfie of us at dinner, and within an hour, she'd uploaded a whole carousel of childhood pictures, her and Noah in the bathtub as toddlers, slow dancing at a middle school formal, her head on his chest. It was like she was watching my Instagram in real time. The caption? It made me want to throw up. "No one will ever know you like your day one." After that, I desperately needed distance. That's why I pushed so hard for the Costa Rica trip. We'd been saving for 6 months, taking overtime shifts, skipping takeout. Our flights were booked, hotels paid for, everything was perfect, until 2 days before we left. My phone lit up with Noah's name. I could hear Danielle hyperventilating in the background. "She says she can't live without me for a whole week," he said, and I already knew what was coming. She's having a panic attack, April. A real one. I've never seen her like this. We cancelled the trip, losing 75% of our money, the exact window to lose the most. That night, she posted a photo of us, except I was cropped out, with the caption, "Nothing better than sibling time." When I showed Noah, he looked genuinely torn. "I love you so much," he told me, his voice heavy, "but she's fragile, and I'm scared of what she'll do." I swallowed the bitter pill and kept it together for him. By the way, if you're still with me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. More unbelievable stories like this one are coming, and you won't want to miss them. The true nightmare began one ordinary afternoon. I was sitting on the toilet, mindlessly scrolling, and decided to play Candy Crush. I hadn't touched it in months, and I remembered being stuck on level 367. But when the game loaded, my heart dropped. I was suddenly on level 950. An awful, icy gut feeling washed over me. After some frantic digging, I found an app one didn't recognize, buried deep in my phone's accessibility settings, Family Safety Monitor. I immediately Googled it on my laptop. Black market spyware. It mirrored everything: texts, photos, searches, even deleted content. And worst of all, it could see through my camera. The installation date? 4 months ago. Right after Danielle had helped me fix my phone when it was acting weird. I sat there for an hour, half dissociating, half frantically strategizing. The obvious answer was to call the police, but I'm Mexican, and without concrete proof, I knew they'd dismiss it as family drama. Danielle would cry, claim concern, and I'd be labeled the crazy girlfriend. That's when the idea hit me. If she was watching everything on my phone, I could use it against her. I scheduled a fake appointment at Planned Parenthood, then sent a text to my mom. "Noah doesn't know yet, but I'm pregnant. I'm going to abort this." 15 minutes later, there was a frantic knock at the door. It was Danielle. "Isn't there something Noah should know?" she demanded. I stood there, my hand still on the doorknob, keeping my face completely blank even though my heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. Danielle's eyes were locked on mine, searching for any crack in my composure, any sign that I knew what she was talking about. I watched her grow more confused by the second because I wasn't reacting the way she expected. I took a slow, steady breath and told her that Noah and I were doing great, and there was nothing we needed to discuss right now. She opened her mouth to say something else, but I was already stepping back, closing the door firmly, not slamming it, but making it clear the conversation was over. The second I heard the lock click, I pulled up my phone with shaking hands and opened the clock app to check the exact time, 8:47 p.m. I took a screenshot. Then I went to my messages and screenshot the fake text I'd sent to my mom. 15 minutes. She showed up exactly 15 minutes after I sent that text. That meant she saw it in real time and immediately drove over. I saved both screenshots to a new folder on my phone, labeling it evidence. My hands were still trembling, but now it was from a weird mix of fear and something else, anger, maybe, or just this cold, hard determination settling into my bones. I opened my messages again and typed pineapple to my mom, our agreed-upon safe word that meant everything I said from then on might be fake. The 3 dots appeared almost immediately, then her response popped up with a heart emoji and the words, "I didn't tell anyone, sweetie." Reading that made my eyes sting. My mom was the one person in all of this that Danielle couldn't touch or manipulate. I sat on the couch, just breathing for a minute, trying to process what had just happened. She'd been watching everything on my phone for months, seeing every text, every photo, every search. And now, I finally had proof that she was using that information. But I couldn't tell Noah yet. He'd just find some way to explain it away, like he always did. I needed more evidence. Something so undeniably clear that even his protective instincts couldn't rationalize it. Noah came home a little after 10 p.m., his exhaustion evident in the way his keys clattered onto the counter. He walked into the living room, and I watched his face carefully as he asked if Danielle had stopped by earlier. She'd sent him some weird text about needing to talk to me. His first reaction wasn't suspicion or concern, it was an automatic need to defend her. I could see it in the way his shoulders tensed, how he wouldn't quite meet my eyes. I told him, yeah, she stopped by, but it was nothing important. Just wanted to say hi. He looked like he wanted to ask more questions but was too exhausted to push it. He just nodded and headed to the bathroom. Sitting there on the couch, I made a decision. I wasn't going to say anything about the spyware or my suspicions until I had evidence so solid that even his need to protect his sister couldn't explain it away. I needed to be smart, methodical, because if I accused her without proof, I'd be the bad guy. The next morning, I woke before my alarm, my brain already racing. The second Noah left for his early shift, I was up and making coffee. I sat at our kitchen table with my laptop and started researching the Family Safety Monitor app, taking screenshots of everything I found. The permissions list made my stomach churn. It could see through my camera, read deleted messages, track my location, mirror everything to another device. I screenshotted the install date, for months ago, right after Danielle fixed my phone. I created a document, organizing everything by date, noting what each piece of evidence proved. The more I read, the more violated I felt, like she'd been standing in my bedroom, watching me for months. But I couldn't fall apart. I channeled that sick feeling into cold determination and kept building my case. During my lunch break, I found Vikram, my work friend, and asked if he could look at my phone privately. My hands trembled slightly, admitting this aloud was terrifying. He saw something was wrong and immediately agreed. In an empty conference room, I pulled up the accessibility settings. I watched his expression change as he scrolled through the permissions, his eyebrows knitting together, his mouth tightening. He looked up at me. "This is definitely spyware," he confirmed, "and it's mirroring everything in real time." Then he said something I hadn't expected. "I need you to keep the phone exactly as it is for now. If you delete the app or change settings, you could destroy the chain of evidence you'll need if this goes legal." Legal. The word made my chest feel tight. After work, I bought the cheapest prepaid phone from a convenience store, paying cash, giving a fake name. I felt like I was in a spy movie, except this was my life. The burner phone felt like a toy, but having it in my purse made me feel a tiny piece of control returning. I programmed my mom's and Vikram's numbers. Nobody else needed to know yet. That evening, with my compromised phone, I created a fake calendar event for tomorrow, therapy intake appointment at a made-up women's health center. In the notes, I wrote, discussing relationship anxiety and communication issues with Noah. I sat there, heart hammering, waiting to see if she'd take the bait. A part of me hoped she wouldn't, meaning I was wrong. But another part, the one that had felt crazy for months, desperately needed to know for sure. 23 minutes later, Danielle's profile picture appeared at the top of my Instagram story feed. My stomach dropped. I tapped it, a quote post with a thinking face emoji, something about how some people hide their problems instead of facing them. My hands went cold. There was no way she could know about that fake therapy appointment unless she was watching my phone right this second. The appointment wasn't real, but she didn't know that, and she just proved everything. I screenshotted her story, ensuring the timestamp showed. Then I grabbed every piece of evidence, the spyware permission screen, the install date, Danielle's story with my calendar open side by side. My hands shook, but I kept going. I spent the next hour creating an evidence folder on my laptop, renaming each screenshot with the date and what it proved: spyware install, fake calendar event, Danielle's Instagram story 23 minutes later. The pattern was undeniable. The next morning, I found a legal aid hotline. The intake person, tired but kind, listened to my whole story. She gave me a direct number for Lena, a privacy advocate. Just hearing there was a name for what was happening, that people specialized in this, made me feel less alone. 2 hours later, Lena called. We talked for 30 minutes. She was impressed by my organized evidence folder. She advised me, keep building evidence before making accusations. People like Danielle always have explanations. Make the pattern so clear that nobody can rationalize it away, not even Noah. Following Lena's advice, I opened my notes app on my compromised phone. I typed out a fake confession about feeling guilty for lying to Noah about wanting kids, making it sound raw and personal. I wrote about feeling trapped and scared to tell him the truth. That evening, Noah's phone buzzed. He picked it up, and his face changed. It was a text from Danielle, saying she was worried about me and thought he should check on what I really want for the future. The exact phrasing from my fake note. Noah looked at me, confused, and asked if everything was okay. I forced my face to stay neutral and said I didn't know what Danielle was talking about. While he was looking at me, I screamed and shot at the text conversation over his shoulder, capturing Danielle's message and the timestamp. Later, I added it to my evidence folder. I tried to bring it up with Noah the next morning. He immediately got defensive. Danielle probably just sensed something was off, he insisted. Siblings have that kind of connection, a twin thing. I wanted to scream that she wasn't psychic, she was watching my phone, but I just nodded. After he left for work, I added his rationalization to my evidence folder. It was incredibly frustrating. I met Lena in person at a coffee shop. She was in her 40s, calm and reassuring. She pulled out a checklist: preserve evidence, file a non-emergency police report, send a formal no-contact letter. She made me feel serious, not crazy. For my next test, I photoshopped a fake dinner reservation for a fancy downtown restaurant, Friday at 7 p.m. I saved it to my phone and added it to my calendar as an anniversary celebration. Then I waited. Friday afternoon, at 6:28 p.m., Noah's phone buzzed. His face fell. Danielle was having severe stomach cramps and needed medicine and heating pads right away. The timing was so precise, I actually laughed out loud, a bitter, surprised sound. Noah looked confused. "What's funny?" he asked. "Nothing," I said. "It's just the same thing that always happens." I told him to go help his sister. While he grabbed his keys, I screenshotted Danielle's text, my fake reservation, and my calendar entry. Pattern number 4, I typed into my evidence folder. Medical emergency time to dinner reservation. She was proving my case for me, and she didn't even know it. The next morning, I braced myself and went to our apartment building manager, Aaron. My voice shook as I explained I was documenting harassment and needed hallway camera footage from last Tuesday night. Around 8:45 p.m. Aaron looked serious, but agreed, requiring a form for legal purposes. That afternoon, 3 video files appeared in my email. My hands trembled as I clicked. Grainy, black and white footage, our apartment door. 8:39 p.m., Danielle appears, pacing, checking her phone. The third clip showed her knocking at 8:47 p.m., exactly 12 minutes after I sent that fake pregnancy text to my mom. Concrete proof. I drove to the police station, heart pounding. Officer Kenzie Jones listened patiently as I laid out my laptop, walking her through everything. The spyware, the patterns, the tests, the video footage. She confirmed it was a clear pattern of surveillance and harassment, but explained I needed to establish formal boundaries first. I filed an incident report, the first official record. The legal process felt real and possible. That evening, I ran one more test. I changed my streaming service password and added a show called The Affair to my watch list, marking several episodes as watched. 8 minutes later, Danielle posted a meme on Instagram about people watching shows about cheating because they're guilty themselves, with a bunch of side-eye emojis. The speed was almost impressive. I screenshotted it immediately. I met Vikram again, and he helped me create a simple technical document, translating the spyware's capabilities into plain language. Then Lena and I drafted a factual, unemotional no-contact letter to Danielle, listing incidents and demanding no further contact. I felt a strange mix of pride and sadness. I never wanted to be the girlfriend who caused problems. When Noah came home, I asked him if he'd go to couples counseling. I kept my voice calm. I told him I loved him, but I was struggling with his closeness to Danielle. His body went stiff. He shook his head, starting to talk about Danielle's hard time. I took a deep breath, my hands shaking, and looked him in the eyes. I need you to choose counseling with me, or I need to take some space from our relationship. My voice cracked, but I didn't look away. He stared at me, fighting himself, but then slowly nodded. Okay, he said. It wasn't a firm agreement, but it was a start. I went to bed feeling sick. The next morning, I created one final trap. On my old, compromised phone, I drafted an email to myself with the subject line "Evidence, Danielle" in all caps, leaving the body blank. My heart pounded. She was probably watching right now. Would she panic enough to show up again? I left the phone on the kitchen counter, trying to act normal. Around 11 a.m., my desk phone rang. Security said someone was asking for me urgently, claiming a family emergency. My stomach dropped. I knew exactly who it was. In the lobby, Danielle stood, tears streaming, mascara smudged, desperate and angry. I walked up slowly, keeping my face blank. I don't want to talk to you privately, I stated, my voice steadier than I expected. If you have something to say, you can say it right here, with witnesses. She cried harder, reaching for my arm, but I stepped back. The security guard, Arkin, moved closer to her. She rambled about me trying to turn Noah against her, her voice getting louder. Arkin politely, then firmly, told her to leave. She looked back at me with an expression that was half hurt, half threatening. I went straight back upstairs, told my supervisor I had a personal emergency, and drove to the police station. Kenzie was available. I told her everything, the email draft, Danielle showing up 2 hours later. Kenzie looked up from her notes. The pattern is definitely strong enough now to move forward with formal documentation. My chest loosened. Kenzie explained the next step, sending Danielle a formal no-contact letter, official documentation of my boundaries. If she violated them, we'd have grounds for a restraining order. I left feeling shaky, but oddly calm, like I was finally doing something. That evening, I printed Lena's no-contact letter, signed it, and drove to the post office. Certified mail with return receipt. Danielle would have to sign for it. I paid the extra fees, clutching the tracking number. It felt concrete. 2 days later, the tracking website showed it delivered, signed. I braced myself. The next morning, I scrolled Instagram. Danielle had like 30 of my old posts from years ago, all within 10 minutes. Random photos from college, family vacations. Such obvious retaliation that I actually laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. I screenshotted everything. Vikram helped me set up new devices, transferring only essential files, leaving the old, compromised phone for forensic cloning. He put the old phone in a plastic evidence bag, sealed it, and labeled it. Holding my new phone, it felt lighter, unburdened. Then, a new, chilling pattern emerged. Noah's friends started messaging me, asking if everything was okay, saying they heard I was acting secretive. Danielle was poisoning his social circle. I responded normally, but inside, I burned with fury. This was careful manipulation, hard to prove. I spent an entire evening creating a 42-page PDF, evidence of surveillance and harassment. A timeline with each bait I'd laid, Danielle's response, timestamps, screenshots. The fake pregnancy text, the video footage. The fake therapy appointment, her Instagram story. The fake dinner reservation, her stomach cramps. The draft email about police evidence, her showing up at my office. Vikram's technical document, police reports, screenshots of her retaliatory behavior. The pattern was impossible to deny. She'd been watching my phone in real time for months, and I had proof that even Noah couldn't explain away. I printed the certified mail receipt and walked into the living room where Noah was watching TV. My voice was steady. We need to talk about counseling again. He tensed. He started to defend Danielle. I held up the receipt. This is my boundary. Counseling, or I need space from this relationship. My words were firmer than I expected. His face changed. He looked at the receipt, jaw working. Finally, he nodded slowly, his whole body looking tired. He agreed to 1 session. Just 1. I saw in his eyes that part of him knew something was deeply wrong, but he was still terrified of what that meant about his sister. The next morning, Lena, Kenzie, and I had a conference call. We discussed how to present the evidence in counseling, calmly, methodically. I had a game plan. That afternoon, I created one final test on the compromised phone, a fake flight booking for a solo trip to visit my college roommate. Dates, flight numbers, a calendar entry. I waited. 18 minutes later, Noah's phone buzzed frantically with texts from Danielle. She can't handle him abandoning her, a whole week away is too much. Noah looked up, utterly lost. Are you planning a trip somewhere? He asked. I calmly said I was thinking about visiting Ava, but hadn't mentioned it to anyone yet. I watched the gears turn in his head. 3 days later, we drove to the counseling office in separate cars. I sat in the waiting room, evidence folder on my lap, feeling like I might throw up. Joyce, a calm woman with kind eyes, greeted us. She led us into her office, a small, comfortable room. Joyce asked what brought us there. My hands shook slightly as I handed Noah my printed timeline. I discovered spyware on my phone, I explained, and I've been documenting the pattern for 2 weeks. Noah took the papers, skeptical. I watched his face as he read Vikram's technical explanation of Family Safety Monitor. His certainty wavered as he read about camera access, deleted messages, location tracking. How could Danielle possibly know all these things, he asked, half confused, half defensive, if it wasn't just coincidence or sibling intuition. His voice had that protective edge. I didn't say anything. I just pulled out my laptop and opened the security camera footage Aaron had given me. I angled the screen so both Noah and Joyce could see. The clip played, Danielle pacing outside our door, checking her phone. I pointed to the timestamp, 8:32 p.m. Then I pulled up the screenshot of my fake pregnancy text to my mom, 8:17 p.m. 15 minutes. Noah watched the video, and I saw the exact moment his certainty cracked. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Joyce leaned forward, her voice gentle but firm, talking about enmeshment and codependency, healthy boundaries. Noah visibly struggled, his identity as Danielle's protector challenged. But he was listening. Truly listening. In the middle of Joyce's explanation, Noah's phone rang. Danielle's name on the screen. Joyce gently asked him to silence it. The phone kept ringing. 5 calls in a row. Joyce repeated her request, a little more firmly. Noah looked at the phone, then hit the side button, silencing it, and placed it face down. It buzzed silently, but he didn't pick it up. A wave of relief washed over me so strong it made my eyes sting. After the session, we walked out in silence. Noah got into his car, but didn't start it. I pulled out my old, cloned phone. I typed a specific phrase into my messages, thinking about getting a dog next spring. I showed him the timestamp. Wait 20 minutes, I said. We sat in our separate cars. At exactly 19 minutes, Noah's phone lit up. He held it up through his windshield. Danielle had posted an Instagram story, a picture of a puppy, with the caption, "Some people aren't ready for that kind of commitment." 3 thinking face emojis. Noah just stared at his phone, his hands shaking. I turned to face him, my whole body vibrating with nervous energy. My voice was shaky, but clear. I need you to stop all contact with Danielle for 30 days while we work on us, or I'm moving out. His head snapped toward me, panic spreading across his face. His mouth opened, then closed. His knuckles went white as he gripped the steering wheel. I knew this was asking him to choose, and I was terrified he'd pick her, like always. But I couldn't keep living with someone watching my every move. He closed his eyes, took a long, shaky breath. When he opened them, there were tears, but he nodded once. Okay. That single word felt like the ground shifting under me. We sat there for another 10 minutes in silence. Then he started the car. We drove home separately, and I spent the whole drive gripping my steering wheel, trying not to cry, wondering if this was the beginning of something better, or the beginning of the end. The next morning, I gathered every piece of evidence. The PDF timeline, the security camera footage on a thumb drive, all my screenshots. My hands were steady as I packed them into a manila envelope. At the police station, Kenzie met me. I spread everything on the table. When I showed her the video of Danielle pacing outside our door, 12 minutes after my fake pregnancy text, Kenzie's eyebrows went up. This is one of the most well-documented harassment cases I've seen in 8 years, she said. Hearing that, something tight in my chest finally loosened. We spent 90 minutes going through everything. She typed up a formal incident report, and I signed it. Before I left, she told me she'd called Danielle that afternoon. I was making lunch when Kenzie called. It went exactly as expected. Danielle spent 5 minutes crying, claiming misunderstanding. Then switched to anger, accusing me of trying to destroy her relationship with Noah. Kenzie stayed calm, explaining the surveillance was illegal, and any further unwanted contact could result in criminal charges. She told Danielle a formal harassment report had been filed, and she needed to cease all contact immediately. I hung up and waited for the explosion. It came around 6 p.m. Noah's phone buzzed with a text from Danielle. He showed it to me. My stomach dropped. She couldn't live without him, she said. She was going to hurt herself because he'd chosen me over his own blood. My first instinct was to grab my keys. But Noah was already typing. He forwarded Danielle's text to Kenzie, then sent Danielle the crisis hotline number we'd found. His body trembled, tears ran down his face, but he didn't get in his car. He sat down next to me and put his phone face down. I didn't know what to say, so I just sat close to him while he cried. 40 minutes later, Kenzie called to say a welfare check had confirmed Danielle was safe, upset but physically okay. Noah sagged. With relief and guilt. The pattern, where Danielle created a crisis and Noah dropped everything to fix it, just broke. It didn't feel good or triumphant. It felt heavy, sad, and necessary. The next morning, Noah and I created a security plan, new passwords for everything, 2-factor authentication, new email addresses. Noah suggested a shared password manager. No secrets, he said. We wrote down an agreement: any communication from Danielle, no matter how it came in, would be shared with both of us immediately. We both signed it. For the first time, I felt like we were on the same team. I spent 4 hours changing every password, building digital walls Danielle couldn't breach. With each one, I felt a little more control returning. That evening, we drafted a text to Danielle. 7 drafts. Clear and firm, without being cruel. He wouldn't be responding for 30 days, and only the crisis hotline number was for emergencies. Noah's hand shook as he hit send. He put his phone down like it burned him. He stood there, arms wrapped around himself, trying not to cry. I knew how much this cost him, how deeply it went against every instinct. But he did it. Over the next few days, Danielle's Instagram was a roller coaster: betrayal, self-care, anger, loving solitude. I screenshotted everything, documenting without engaging. Joyce called it disengagement. 2 weeks after the no-contact boundary, Lena told me the next step: a formal civil cease and desist letter demanding deletion of any data Danielle obtained through the spyware. It would be sent from her law firm. Vikram helped me create a 12-page technical appendix for the lawyers, explaining every permission, every aspect of the spyware. He was proud of me. 3 weeks after our first counseling session, Noah and I returned to Joyce. The room felt less tense. Joyce talked about surveillance trauma. I described feeling exposed, violated. Noah's jaw tightened, not in defensive anger, but understanding. He admitted his guilt, knowing his sister did this and he hadn't seen it. We talked about trust, boundaries. Joyce asked about his relationship with Danielle before me. He shifted. After their dad left, he'd stepped into a protective role. Danielle leaned on him for everything. Was it healthy? He admitted it probably wasn't, that he'd made it harder for her to cope. Joyce gave him a referral for a therapist specializing in enmeshment. He took the card. That small moment felt huge. 2 days later, Kenzie called. My report was officially logged, a permanent record. Strong grounds for a restraining order if Danielle violated boundaries. She was cautiously optimistic. The following week, Lena sent the cease and desist letter from her law office. I signed the authorization. A line in the sand. For a week, I checked the mail tracking obsessively. Then, silence. Danielle's Instagram went private overnight, no more posts. Noah said she hadn't texted or called him either. The silence was eerie. Part of me wondered if it was the calm before another storm. But another part thought the legal intervention actually worked. I'll take this uneasy peace over active harassment any day. Vikram carefully placed my old, compromised phone in an evidence bag, sealed it, and put it in a fireproof safe. It felt symbolic, like putting this nightmare into a box where it couldn't hurt me anymore. Over the next few weeks, Noah started individual therapy. He didn't share details, and I didn't ask, respecting his privacy. He'd come back looking tired, but lighter. He was learning healthy boundaries. 5 weeks after discovering the spyware, alone in the apartment, I sat and truly considered, stay or leave? Part of me was still angry at Noah, scared he'd fall back into old patterns. But another part saw how hard he was working. The therapy, respecting the no-contact rule. I thought about the life we'd built, the plans we'd made before all this. After 2 hours, I decided, 60 more days with these non-negotiable boundaries. I'd trust myself to walk away if things didn't improve. It wasn't a forever commitment, but it was a real chance. Kenzie called the next morning. No new incidents. Danielle was respecting the no-contact order. The formal intervention worked. That weekend, Noah and I sat at the kitchen table, his laptop open to a state park website. Hiking trails, a lake. Simple. We agreed on 2 rules, check in if uncomfortable, and no social media. He typed it all into his calendar. Something about seeing him write it down made it feel real. That night, packing a small backpack, I caught myself smiling. A simple day trip. After months of constant surveillance, simple felt like everything. The next morning, getting dressed, I looked at my new phone. 6 weeks. Devices secure. A legal paper trail. Noah in therapy, working on his boundaries. Danielle silent for over a month. I was sleeping through the night. Feeling safer in my own relationship. Proud of myself for standing up. Noah and I talked about planning Costa Rica again in 6 months. I could finally imagine it, just the 2 of us, without anyone sabotaging it. The relationship I fought so hard to protect finally felt like it was truly ours. And that's worth everything I went through to get here. Looking back, I realized that the fight for my privacy wasn't just about escaping a stalker, it was about reclaiming my entire life, redefining my relationships, and finally finding my own voice. It was messy, painful, and terrifying, but in the end, it was the only way to build something real and truly ours. Have you ever had to fight so hard for your own boundaries, even within your own relationship or family? How did you navigate it? Tell me in the comments below, because I'm still learning, and I'd really love to hear your experiences.